everybody? It's your man James. It's Quincy Treasure back again with some more video action for you. How'd you like that new little intro I made? Pretty good, huh? That was a lot of fun putting that together for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. This is Artistry Appreciation, where I take a piece of artwork that I own or have owned in the past, and I talk about why I think it was so cool and why you should want to maybe check out some of the work of that artist yourself. And today we're doing one. It's a little special. It's someone I know quite well. I've known them for a very long time personally, and so it's going to be a little bit of a little bit of interesting thing here. But I want you guys to know this is the new season. That's why I got the new music for you here in the beginning. I'm going to try to set these things up and run like seasons. Season 1 was what we did before. Now we got season 2, and we'll see where it goes from there. And hopefully this is something you guys will find some fun in, and take into a regular routine for yourselves. I'm going to try to get as many of these out as I can. Again, like I said, because I told you before about the health things, I may not be able to do them as quickly as much as I want, but I'll try to get as many out as I can, and we'll just see where things go from there. But now it's time to talk about our artist today. And this is a guy who maybe some of you have heard of, but probably a lot of you haven't. His name is Jason Metcalf. And Jason is a great artist. He's someone, like I said, someone I've known a very long time, since 2003. He's got a great talent, and he's an artist like that I really feel deserves better than he's gotten in this industry. And so this is kind of a little special for me to be able to give a little props to him for some of his great work. And we're going to look at some of that right here in a moment. And so I just want to thank you all for joining me today and say, hey, if you like what you see here, be sure to go ahead and give some likes out there. Also, if you've got any comments you want to make on the art or what I'm doing here, drop them down below. I always like to hear what the folks got to say. Also, be sure to share out some links and help get those numbers up for the channel, because I'm always looking to increase those as time goes on. So I appreciate all the support you guys have been given, and hopefully that I can continue on and to onward and upwards and better things. But now let's get into our art. And like I said, Jason, he's a great artist, and I think you're really going to like this piece, because it's one that the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, I gotta have this the minute I saw it. So let's bring it up here. And here we are. We have Fleeing Darkness, number 1 cover. And as you can see here, I'm going to pick it up for you guys. This is Jason's work. There's his signature right here. I just immediately, the first time I saw this image that he had, when I saw him at a convention and he had this piece, it just immediately drew me in. Just right here was this the part that really drew me in. Look at all the detail in that cross hatching on soldiers, on the church, on the smoke from the fire, all that. I mean, that is just insane levels of detail. And then you get down here to the bottom with the grass, and on the published version of this book, the cover is in color, but I like this better with the black and white, because you got all the negative space of the grass, and I just think it's a very great visual. It really spotlights, his attention to detail. This is from a company called Starcross Comics. They're a small publisher. Basically, the whole tone of the book, the story behind it is this is the story of what happens to the Christians in North Korea when the communists come to take over, like around 1949, 1950. And again, very, very visceral image. It's very political minded. You got war, and you got religion, and you have all kinds of cool very heady topics in this. But again, with the art, Jason really brings home the emotion. Like I said, right here, you got the family holding on to each other, the child crying. I mean, just the expressiveness of what he does. And the great figure work. With the father trying to protect the family. I mean, his figure work reminds me a little bit of John Buscema, with that, because Buscema was probably one of the best guys for figure work in comics history. I mean, you can't find better than John Buscema, and I can see Jason Albert, he must be a Buscema fan. Of course, there probably aren't too many artists who aren't, but I really love his contrasting of the focus on the family, and then everything else in the background sort of like fuzzed out. It's all the danger is there, and but it's the focus is on the family, and I really love that aspect of this. He really brought in some really great, figure work here that just really, really wonderful stuff. And like I said, but that detail here, that scratchiness in these backgrounds. I mean, this to me is like Mark Silvestri style. This reminds me of Silvestri's early stuff on X-Men. I love, I mean, like I said, just look at all those scratch, all that scratch work, the cross hatching and texturing. It's just incredible to see. I mean, how long that must have took. I mean, my hands are aching just looking at all that. You know, it's insane. And then you got the planes and the big star. Again, just a very well done image. I mean, it's the kind of cover that like just comes up and slaps you in the face and makes you say, I got to look underneath this. You know, which to me that's the whole point of a cover. And speaking of covers, let's take a look at the actual published version if we can here. You can see here it is, Star-Crossed Comics #1, Fleeing Darkness, and you can see here. Then you can see the difference. You can see the difference that the color makes. See, like I said, down here in the grass where you saw it before was in black and white. It had that whole negative spacing here. All that is gone because it's filled in with color. And a lot of times people say, is color better than black and white? In a lot of cases, it does add. But sometimes I feel color can take away, and I think this might be one of those rare instances where color didn't really add much to the overall image. It's so much more potent, I think, in black and white. Like I said, with that negative space with the grass, and here you can see here again the fuzziness of the background is still there, but again you don't see quite so much of the cross-hatching details. The color kind of washes a little bit of that away. The family still stands strong, and this is probably the strongest part of the image. Jason really did some, like I said, some excellent figure work here. Just like very much a John Buscema-esque type of style with that. But I just, and I love, you can see the flames, all that color work. I mean, that's where the color work really comes in handy, is with the fire in this. But again, a lot of the details kind of get quashed by the color. We'll go back here for a second. You can see. Look at all that detail that is lost in the color version. You see, and so but like I said, the minute I saw this image in his folder at the show, I said, I gotta have this. And it's just to me, Jason is a great talent who's been very much, like I said, underappreciated, underrepresented in this industry. I feel like if Jason would have been around, say, 10 or 15 years sooner than he was, because I first saw him in 2003. If he'd have been like 10 or 15 years earlier, he'd have been a superstar in the mainstream industry. You'd have seen him on Spider-Man or Batman or the Hulk or something like that. And instead, he's had to contend with doing more stuff in smaller press areas with smaller books, smaller companies, never really getting the acclaim I think someone with his style should be getting. So, it's kind of a shame and it's sad. But I still think Jason, great artist, wonderful talent, and definitely somebody. If you see any work by him somewhere, you should definitely check him out. If you see him at a convention, go up to his table and get something. He's definitely got the chops. Like as you can see here, it's just beautiful work. And something that's political and something that's religious. And these are things that normally people say you don't want to bring those into things because it ruins the books. But this image is really, it's like I said, it's just a visceral gut punch to you right here. It's sometimes you want that. Sometimes that's what you want in great art, is just that visceral feeling that you get when you see an image like this. So yeah, Jason Metcalf is definitely someone that, like I said, hasn't gotten the due I think he is due in the mainstream. So there you have it, Jason Metcalf. Great stuff. And like I said, someone I've known a very long time. Like I said, I definitely have a friendship and a fondness for Jason and his work. So I hope you guys enjoyed checking that out. I hope you guys like that. And I'll be back soon with some more stuff. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to do these, maybe not completely like a weekly regular thing, but at least semi-regular, to get some good stuff out there for you guys. And as always, I'm working on other stuff as well, so you'll see some of that soon. But I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope you got some fun out of this. I hope you enjoyed seeing some great art. Drop me some comments and let me know what you think about Jason Metcalf's style. Do you think I'm on the money? Do you think his style has that whole blend of Silvestri and Buscema, or do you think I'm totally off the mark? Did you like the image? Do you think it was too much? Do you think it was not enough? Let me know, because I always want to hear what the folks got to say. And I will be back with another one of these in the very near future. And until next time, take care.